Hello, and thanks for tuning in to this episode of R&R's Ask the Expert. I am your host, Valerie King, R&R's editor-in-chief, and I am joined today by Gerry Edtl and Jordan Donald, who are the father-daughter team behind Gerry Edtl Consulting. It was founded in 2007, and they are second and third generation restoration industry members. So Jerry's president, founder, and VP of sales, and Jordan's CEO and sales trainer. Together, they help restorers grow their business and generate referrals without lead fees, TPAs, or programs. So, we invited them on to discuss building reciprocal relationships with insurance agents and taking business development to new heights. Thank you so much for joining me, Gerry and Jordan.
Well, thanks for having us. We're happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you again. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Now, before we dive into what Gerry Edtl Consulting does, could you share the story behind it? So, what you were up to prior and what drove the launch of the business in 2007?
Well, I had experienced a career in the franchise business. My parents bought a Service Master franchise back in the day when Paul Harvey advertised for them, and they heard that and said, "Let's do that." They were in cleaning themselves as an independent. I got out of high school, needed a job, and the long and the short of the story is 34 years later, I saw some changes happening with the private equity, the sale of the company, the direction it was going. Some of its values, mission, and purpose started to shift. And I said, this is a good time for me to step out. I've been at this a long time. Time for me to start a new career. And so I looked around and said, well, I want to stay in the industry. And that was really what motivated me to say, it's just time, Gerry. And so got into consulting, and 14 years later, I'm still here and excited about what I do. I get up every day saying, man, let me help me to find people, that we can help. We love to help people. We're passionate about that. Helping people grow, helping people develop is what makes us tick. And really partnering with people is what it's all about for us. So that's my story. That's how I got into this, and I love what I do.
Very good. Okay, so more on to what is going on these days and what Gerry Edtl Consulting does. So, what sorts of services would you say you offer?
Well, we're best known for helping restorers get their own work directly. We're specialists at referrals from water damage referrals from insurance agents. And that's an area that has been long used to go get business, but it's an area that has changed. The industry has changed. The agents' needs have changed, and the messaging has to change. And so we've carved out a niche, if you will, in how to do that effectively today and be relevant to the agent and be able to bring value to an agent in such a way that they want you on their losses. And so that's probably our primary. We also focus on sales leadership development, sales management, sales accountability. Those are all areas that most restorers struggle with. Most of us, like myself, I grew up in the industry. I was on the truck starting out as a kid and as a young man, and learned the operations and that type of thing. But where do I learn sales? How do I learn sales? I was fortunate enough, I had a sales mentor who really helped me in my career, and still is to this day, a tremendous business mentor and friend. But not everybody has that opportunity. And so how do we learn that? And so that's an area where people need help. So the sales leadership component of that. And then another area that we love to help people with is their culture, helping them build a team that is exciting. It's an exciting place to work. It's a place where we're not just here cleaning and we're not just here making some money. It's a passion for people, and they're excited about what they do. And it's about creating a culture of teamwork where people want to stay, want to come to work, are empowered to be there. And it's not just all about the money. Obviously, we all work for money. We need money to survive, obviously. But there's other reasons why people want to work. And when you tap into that and you help people create that kind of an environment, you don't face the uphill battle of trying to find people in today's labor market. So those are some of the things we do.
Very good. They all sound timely and relevant. I didn't even realize the culture component and the internal employee, labor tie aspect there in a time when it's so hard to find skilled workers who, to your point, are passionate about doing what they do every day. So I'm curious about the clients you serve. It sounds like restoration contractors, but like within the restoration world, how big are these clients? Are they franchises or independents? Are they, what regions do you serve?
Well, it's coast to coast, number one. Very few markets that we don't work in. Businesses will vary from independent to franchise types, not any one specific franchise, but franchisees in general. Uh, they look for a system, they bought a system, they're looking for systems, better systems. And when you have a specialty like we do, you've perfected a system that is very much needed as opposed to the starter systems that they all still have in the insurance agent route marketing category. They're all still using that. And so we have a lot of franchise owners, but we also have a lot of independents. We have businesses that are 20 million. We have businesses that are a million. We have a few occasionally where they're in that startup mode. And it's pretty rare, but there are startup businesses that are at a place where no, we're doing this in a partnership, and I'm going to do sales, and my partner's going to run the operations. And so there's some exceptions there where they're smaller businesses, less than 500,000. But I'd say that the normal range is somewhere in that 1 million, 1 to 2 million ranges where people really start to look at, I need to hire a business development, full-time sales professional, somebody that can help us really take our business to the next level. And that's where we have a lot of folks there.
Okay. So more on that, more into those challenges that you're helping solve. Are there more challenges that you find to be more common than others, gaps more common than others that you help clients address?
Yeah, I'm going to let Jordan answer that one. That's a good one for her. She deals directly with the owners in training, and she probably has a lot more insight on that one.
Yeah, we may go back and forth a bit on this one, Gerry. The first thing that instantly came to my mind based on what you were just saying is they recognize, oh, okay, I'm a million. I still need to grow. I want to grow more. I'm maxed. I need another person. Oh, salesperson. And so the issues are number one, they don't have them. They need help hiring. They don't even know how to hire for that role. So that's number one. That's a challenge. Number two, which Gerry already mentioned earlier, is they think, okay, great, I got this new team member. Oh, they'll know how to do everything because they're a salesperson. But they need leadership, right? They need management. And so that's another challenge and gap that we have to help them with, is understanding the role that the salesperson plays in their business and how it really integrates and comes full circle. A lot of times when I work with clients, it's on the rare end of the spectrum that I work with a sales business. And what I mean, I'll give you the contrast, is typically when we take on clients and we work with them, they are production, they are operations. That's just how they've kind of come to be. And that's the focus. And so when they get to that point where they realize, man, I could make this something, I could grow, and they want to bring on sales, often they think of them as separate entities, right? So they're kind of siloed, but really it's a circle, right? Because your sales team is going to go out and invest in the community and make promises, right? To say, hey, we want to step in. We want to be here for you in a time of crisis. Send us, we've got your back. We're going to look after you. And that's a promise, but it takes the production team to deliver on that promise. And so helping the business as a whole, as Gerry mentioned, it's really a cultural component. It's changing, what is our vision? What is our mission? And so those are just some of the gaps and challenges that we primarily help with. I mean, the obvious is they've never done sales. They don't have a strategy. They need a plan. So we provide them the plan. But then beyond that, those are some additional things that I always tend to notice.
Mhm.
That was very
Gerry,
helpful,
oh,
considerably end to end, more than I even realized going into this interview. Yeah, Jerry, did you? Sorry.
No, you're
no,
doing
it's okay.
fine.
I was just going to ask Gerry, I know on the front end, when you talk with businesses initially, anything that I missed in there that we want to add or include?
No, that was a comprehensive. I would say the the paradigm that an owner often falls into is, I know how to do production. I hire people. I send them to an ICRC training course, for example. And so I send them and they get trained and then they come back and they're supposed to know what they're doing. Um, and that mindset, that paradigm I run into that a lot with people. It's like, well, I send them to you. What's the deal? Do they go to you? Do you come to them? And he's talking about them as almost a separate entity of their business. It's like, no, 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 no. You got to understand, if you've got to invest in learning this too. If you want them to succeed, if you want to be able to lead them and manage them. Now, if you want me to manage them, if you want me to manage them for the rest of your life, then there are companies that will do that. But you're always going to be beholden to me. You're always going to need me. You're never going to be able to get rid of me, because if you do, your sales is going to fall apart because you don't know the first thing about it. So just as you've learned production, just as you've invested in learning that side of the business, you really need to do this as well. This is a side that people have. And that's a big challenge people face. I have a lot of owners that will say, I can't commit the time to that. I just don't have the time right now. And it's like, this may be a great fit for us, between us, to help you and partner with you, but this might not be the right time for you to make this kind of an investment, because without your presence in training and participation, your salesperson is going to be doomed to failure. And I'd rather, let's don't get started right now. Let's wait until you've got the bandwidth to do it. So those are some other challenges or parts of that, I suppose.
Very interesting. So, when it comes time to help these clients um, better invest in their workforce and ultimately their business development and reap the rewards of that, how do you help them? What is your approach? Are you consulting? Are you in person or remote? What does that look like, and what are your respective roles within the business?
Yeah, it can be in person. It usually is like this technology, video conference technology. We started using Zoom 5 years ago, I think it was, Jordan. Maybe, I'm not sure
6.
exactly when, but it was long before
Been
anybody
a while.
before anybody knew what Zoom was. We've been using this kind of technology and found that it's very cost effective. It's it's private, one-to-one. We work with a sales person and their boss, meaning the business owner in most cases. And we do them together on a call like this. And Jordan can speak more to that specifically. Coaching calls take place that way as well. There's clients that we need to come out and see. We need to work on some other issues first to help them get ready for. And those are cases where we would go on site and meet with them for a day or two, maybe, and work in their business, observe, see what's going on. A lot of times we've got people who have an existing employee who's been doing marketing to insurance agents for several years, and they want to keep that investment in that person. Well, those are people that we can help with. Let's see if they can make some changes. Let's work with them. Let's do a little coaching. Let's maybe go out with them and, in the field and observe. Those are things that we can do to help see if this person really is going to be the right fit, right seat on the bus, as the saying goes. They're maybe the right person, but are they in the right spot for this kind of thing? So it varies, this depending upon what it needs. People don't ever have to fly to us. That's not how we do it. We don't do week-long boot camps or weekend boot camps, things of that nature. That's just not our format.
Respectively, do you both play similar roles within the company, or do you have unique roles?
Well, I'll go first on that one. My job is I search, I hunt, I look. I'm the person that's finding prospective businesses to see if we're a good fit, if we can really help them. That's my job. And I spend the majority of my time doing that. There's a few clients where I will work with personally one-to-one, but that's only a few. The majority are then trained by Jordan, and she can speak to that itself.
And to lend a bit of behind the scenes why that is, Gerry's experience, 34 years in the industry, that was a specialty that he had, that consulting, that turnaround specialist to come in, do an evaluation on a business, find, key problem areas, challenge areas, and work through resolution. And so when we are pursuing prospective clients, that's really the hat he wears. It's that consultant hat to say, hey, I've been in your shoes. What's happening in your world? Does it make sense for us to work together? And as he said, are we a good fit? And beyond that, is this the right time? Because it may not be, and that's okay. And so that's why he is over on that side of it. My side is primarily the training and the coaching and the implementation and accountability. And that's because my background is in education. And I design our curriculums and our approach and all of the training that people go through. And then I get to work with them one-on-one because every person is unique. And every market is just as unique. And so while we have a starting platform and approach and strategy with key steps of implementation, they all have to be customized and kind of tailor fit to the individual and the business itself. So that's what I get to do. And I love it. It's fun.
Very interesting backgrounds. It's so neat how they come together, and here we are today. So I'm curious. I'd love to dive more into the building of the win-win relationships between insurance agents and restoration companies that you help foster. So I've read you kind of explain this, Gerry, as an alternative approach to TPAs that you advocate for. So first, I'd love to set the stage with your stance on TPAs. Good, bad, pros, cons, that spirit.
They are they are part of the industry, and they are a part that is not going to go away. So whether they're good, bad, ugly, whatever, they are what they are, and they're here. And they started out of years ago. They were a win-win, actually. And people that are newer to the industry, if you don't have 10, 15 years, you don't realize that they really were a win-win. We were helping insurance carriers solve problems. And one of them was the severity of a loss kept going up because the time that it took in delay to getting an adjuster on site was often days. And there's some horror stories of numerous days, but 2-3 days was not at all uncommon. And so nothing could get started. So if you think about a water or a fire damage, both water, it's easy to see, but fire also has continuing damage. Even though the fire's out or the water has turned off, it's still spreading. The water is still spreading, and smoke gases are acid, and they are causing more and more damage. And so every hour you delay, the severity goes up and up and up. So what happened was, the theory was, what if we could get somebody out there right away and pre-authorize them to stabilize? And the term mitigation, which was always part of policyholder language, but it was the responsibility of the policyholder to mitigate, we became what we do. And now we're an industry of mitigators, if you will. And we proved mathematically, financially, the numbers didn't lie. I mean, the numbers were real by getting us out there quickly and within hours, and the homeowner didn't have to worry about, is this going to be approved? Is the adjuster, are they going to accept my claim? And the restorer didn't have to worry about it either, because they knew, hey, I've been pre-approved up to X amount. And the result was everybody won. The carriers reduced the severity, the homeowner reduced their emotional distress because something's happening right away, and that's positive, and those kinds of things. The restorer, we got paid, we got the job. It was a win-win-win. greed kicks in along the way, and it's on both sides. I can't point a finger at any one side. Everybody got greedy, and everybody wanted more, and carriers wanted more savings. And how do we get more savings now that we're mitigating? We've gotten that savings, we've lowered the severity, but now how do we get more? Well, somebody comes along with the idea of, hey, you guys make a killing on that equipment. Come on, we're paying for that equipment 10 times over. Give us a 10% discount on that equipment. And somebody cracked and said, okay, I'll give you a 10% because after all, you're giving me all this work. And it just began to nibble away until the day has come where they're just cutting to the bone and the fat's gone, the muscle's gone. And now you've got programs that the third-party administrator's value proposition is, we're going to save you money. Well, how are you going to do that? You start messing with the price. You start messing with the line items that are in Xactimate. You start taking things, you start saying things like this: we don't pay for that. It's included. Just do it, And there's always some contractor, some mitigator, some restorer that's going to say, well, okay. Now what you end up with is two kinds of contractor mitigators. One is ethical and hardworking and honest and says, well, I got to take care of it because the customer needs it. And if I don't do it, it's not going to get done. And it's going to fall back on me. So they do it and they go broke tired. The other type can say, well, it's not my fault. I'm giving the customer what they pay me for. They pay me to do this. They didn't pay me to do the whole thing. So sorry, I'm not going to do the whole thing. So you got this awful tension going on in there, and it's no longer a win-win. So they are what they are. They're not going away. There's plenty of good things about them. So don't hear me say what I'm not saying. There's plenty of good things about them. But allowing them their revenue stream to be too much of your total, that's dangerous. And too much varies. It's relative based on the kind of business that I have. But I can tell you story after story of restorer who, it became 25%. Okay, fine. It became 35%. It became 50%. It became 70, 80, 90. And then the truth be told, it's virtually all my revenue is coming from the TPAs. Now what happens? I don't have a choice. If they say, we don't pay for that, we don't pay for that. What are you going to do about it? And that's where it becomes very dangerous. And so for me, because I go back to the group of people that originally started TPAs, and they were a good thing back then, and they've turned into this thing today that they are. And so for me personally, it's really fun to help people go, listen, if you found 10 agents, if you could just go out there into the community and find 10 that would send you 5 or more, talking with a guy just an hour and a half before this call today, who says, yeah, I've got one agent. And so he refers me, well, how many does he send you in a year? Oh, probably 12. Okay. Well, what would your business feel like if you had 20 of those, or 30 or 40? Oh man, it's like, oh my gosh, that's huge. That would be, yeah. You don't need thousands or hundreds of agents to make this a deal. What you want is to target the right ones, the ones that think the way you do, the ones that say, I sold my customer a policy and I promised them we're going to take care of them and we're going to do right by them. That's the policy. And I know what happens when they get into the program and into the claims department. I want you out there on my customers' losses, and they will do that, and they stand up for their customer. And these are agents that we want to find. And when you know how to find them, it's really fun. When you invite them to a partnership, man, they're like, I've been looking for this. Okay, now everybody's winning. Does the claim department come in and get involved? Of course, they do their job. They got a job to do. But make no mistake about it, not all of the work, not all of the insurance claims go through programs. I mean, they don't. It's not half. less than half. I'm not privy to the information that I used to be when I was part of a corporate structure in a franchise system. But I can tell you it's not, I'd be shocked if it's even 40%. And the carriers want it to be 60 and 70 and 80 and 100. But the fact is, customers Google and get their own people, and referrals come and references come and that kind of thing. And so you can get work yourself. And when you go out there and you get it, then you're not beholden to. Now you have a different ability. You have the option. You have the ability to say, you know what? I'm going to draw the line here. I'm not going to do that. If you want to shut me off, you know what? You can shut me off. And I've helped clients get more work themselves than what the program was sending them. And when you compare their margins on the work they get themselves as opposed to the margins that they get from the programs, you can lose a lot of revenue, replace it with a little bit, but you have the same amount or more money. A little long answer
Very
to your question.
intriguing.
Sorry.
No, that was a very, very insightful story on like what led up to today and where we are now, and that, and then also really how what you advocate for and what you help your clients do is how it's an alternative to TPAs and how it differs. And it really sounds like it comes down to you're helping these restoration companies build their own networks and build their own
Yeah,
relationships with the insurance side by way of insurance agents. Is that starting point? Is that accurate?
that's accurate. That's
Very
it.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, so diving deeper into this, could you offer a few examples of what this might look like? What it means to be an extension of the insurance agent's team and building a relationship with them, and really through the insurance agent side, why they should care and how it benefits them as the agent.
Hmm. Well,
That's good. I'll take it, Gerry.
okay. Well, Jordan, I was going to say, I've got one thought, but I think Jordan is
Oh,
dealing
you
with this
share
on.
first and then I'll pick it up.
You go for it.
Oh, me first. Okay. Um, yeah, those are great questions. I think, a lot of businesses, if you really took the time, as Gerry said, to just look at your numbers, right? If you're tracking it properly, if you can look at your numbers and say, okay, my jobs that go through programs, not how many, because the quantity isn't what's important necessarily. What's my margin, right? My profit versus ones that don't. And just look at that. You may realize, oh, hmm, maybe, maybe there's something here. And so then, right, you might say, okay, I want to do this. I want to go get my own work organically. I see the numbers very clear, black and white on paper in front of me. I need to do this. And then the question becomes, well, how do I do it? And so the default, right, is the quantity error or issue again is I'll make the routes and I'll make the rounds and I'll do marketing because we've always done it that way. And again, if you would track that in numbers and look and go, okay, based on how many stops my marketing person makes, compare that to how many direct referrals I'm getting from those individuals, what are my numbers? And for most businesses, when that is analyzed, you realize, oh, not enough. Okay, not anywhere close to enough. So if you can get to the point where you think, okay, I recognize my margins are better on organic leads, and you can get to a point where you recognize it's not about the number of agents I call on. There's some missing component. What is that component? Right. Then you come back to what Gerry's kind of mentioned already throughout the process is this idea of a good fit. So how do you find the right agent, right? That's what everybody wants to know. How do I find this agent who's going to refer? Okay, it takes some work, right? But the point is you should be identifying who of my agents do refer and who don't, because that's a very clear line in the sand for many agents. Some have the just innate philosophy, my job is to sell policy and that's what I'm going to do. And others have the philosophy of, I take care of people and I care for them by selling them a policy so that when the time comes they need to use it, I'm going to be in their corner. I'm going to advocate for them. I'm going to make sure that they're protected and taken care of. And that's the kind of agent that's going to go out of their way to say, hey, you restoration company, you are really good at what you do. You take care of people. You're in alignment with me. Let's do something together. And so all of this to say, what's that benefit to the agent, right? The benefit to the agent is delivering on their own promise, which brings us full circle to what I was saying earlier about production and sales. Because see, the insurance agent is the salesperson. They've promised this to their policyholder, and who's going to deliver? It's going to be the contractor, right? Ultimately, that comes into the home and puts it back together and restores it. And so that salesperson is looking for a production counterpoint. They're looking for a partner who can help them look good to their client. And for most agents, that's enough, right? What's in it for them? Honestly, it seems maybe too easy, too silly, too emotional, but that's what it is. It's that I have delivered on my promise. I've kept my word. I'm a person of integrity. I've stepped in and done right by my policyholder. So that's the advantage there. There's a lot of other additional benefits to that agent. And Gerry, I don't know if you want to tell, you've got some stories there that you kind of word pictures that you can use with us.
I want you to think about a water damage. Let's just use that as an easy example. In a home. And let's make a list together mentally of all of the people that are going to be coming in and leaving and coming and going into that in and out of the customer's home. So as you start to think about, well, who are the people? Well, certainly we would have a plumber, right? Somebody's got to fix the broken pipe. Let's just start with, it's a broken pipe. It burst, it broke off, it's sudden, it's an accident, it's going to be a covered claim. There's no issues whatsoever. It's a clear claim. So a plumber is out there, right? Then you're going to have a mitigation company. Somebody's going to come out and they're going to have several people come over several periods of days. They're going to clean it up. They're going to dry it out. They're going to remove the water. They're going to do all their testing. They're going to make sure everything is correct. There may be some asbestos testing going on as well, of course, keeping in compliance with those issues. So you've got them come in. Then wait, my house is torn up. It's all dried and it's all clear. There's no asbestos, but now what do I do? I mean, I got to put it back together. Well, now you're going to have a contractor of some sort, a repair person, might be the same company. It might be a separate company coming in, and they're doing repairs. And you've got drywallers and painters and, finish people and carpet layers and floor people, and on the list goes. And somewhere along the way, the claims representative is going to be involved as well, right? Maybe just over the phone. More than likely, there's going to be somebody out there in person. Now, as you think about all of those people, which one or ones has the insurance agent's back? Now, notice I didn't list the agent because the agent isn't one that's going to come out there, but the agent sold the policy. The agent made a promise. The agent said, I promise you we're going to take care of you. And so that's their interest in this, but they can't physically come like they used to 20, 30 years ago. That was the norm, not anymore. It's just not in their reality today. So which of all of these people, from the claims people to the construction to the mitigation, all the way down to the testing and the plumbing people, who has the agent's back? When you think about that, often the most common answer, and I ask this question all the time, and the most common answer I will get is, well, the adjuster. No, thanks for playing. Nice try. You would think that would be the case, but they don't. In fact, if we were a fly on the wall watching all of this, we'll hear this somewhere along the way. Someone will say to the customer, often it's an claims person, hey, it's not my fault you didn't buy sewer and drain endorsement. Coverage is denied. Well, just take the bus out and drive over the agent, because the implication is the agent didn't do their job. We've had other cases where a contractor will make the comment, hey, listen, you're at policy limits. I can't deal with this anymore. It's not my fault. You should have had more policy. Should have had a bigger limit on it. You don't. And the agent gets thrown under the bus because nobody is paying attention to the agent's interest. And so when you position yourself, I tell that story to say this: if we position ourselves to be a part of the agent's team, and I want to use these words carefully and respectfully, but we want to become the agent's eyes and ears and heart with their customer. And when we learn how to think that way and we learn how to act that way, there are things we can do that help the agent, help the customer take care of this problem for them. And that's when that happens, man, it's a good deal.
Very interesting. So now that we have that really colorful picture painted of this cohesive reciprocal relationship built between the restorer and the agent, at the risk of stating the obvious, can you add some color to how this in turn benefits the restorer? What does it mean now that I've built this relationship with an agent and I'm their eyes, their ears, their heart in the field in this person's home or business? Now what can I expect?
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question, and it's really fun. The restorer can only provide that service to the agent when they get assigned to that agent's policyholder's loss. So the win is the agent says, I want you to be my eyes and ears and my heart. I want you to have certain behaviors that we've agreed upon that you're going to help me with my customer. I want that. Then it becomes, well, how are you going to get me out on those losses? Well, I will refer you. We will refer you. That's how we're going to get you out there. And when that happens, now I have a stream. One agent is a little stream of revenue coming into my business that they're referring me year after year after year, as long as I'm taking good care of them and fulfilling my end of the deal. If I had 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 of those agents, my stream is a pipeline coming to me. And that means I'm getting my own work. I'm now getting more work on my own than the TPA is sending me. And so now I can either say goodbye to the TPA, I can say no to the TPA, or I can put up with the TPA knowing that I can walk away anytime I want to. And that's a pretty good feeling.
Very helpful. So you may have alluded to this earlier, but I want to make sure that I don't assume. Are there any common misconceptions that in your work and in your experience you see restorers have when it comes to working with TPAs, when it comes to building leads on the insurance side?
One of them is, and they're just not aware, if you're deep into program work, if you're getting a lot of program work, let me use one example. I think I can say their name and not get into trouble. I want to be careful, and maybe you might need to edit this out, but they're the biggest insurance carrier, personal property in the United States, and it's State Farm, obviously. So if you are doing a lot of State Farm work, and then you go out and get your own work, and it happens to be from State Farm customers, then that TPA is going to come along and they're going to say, we're seeing that you've got a loss from over here. You need to put that through the program. And restorers don't realize that's a common mistake they have. They don't, and that's something we try to help them understand is this is going to happen. They're more times than not going to put a gun to your head and say, put it through or we'll shut you off. And boy, that shows you, oh, this is what I'm really into. This is who you really are. I see now. And it can, once you understand that, it can drive you to say, I'm going to build getting it myself. I'll put it through temporarily, but eventually I'm going to say no to you guys. And my margins, I'm going to be so much further ahead because of my profit margin is so much greater. And that's at the end of the day, a business owner does have to pay attention to the top line, but it's the bottom line that matters the most. And you want to grow healthy. You don't want to grow for the sake of growth and not be profitable. And your revenue mixture is like high performance fuel or crappy fuel. And if you've got a old car that just runs the easy illustration to pick on is the old Volkswagen Bug. If you got an old Volkswagen Bug, who cares what kind of gas you put in? Just whatever's cheap. But if you've got a high performance car, a BMW, something that's a really nice, fast moving car, you don't put crummy gas in it or you're going to be chugging along the road in that thing and you're going to do damage to it. And your revenue mixture is like the fuel that runs the machine for you. So there's a lot to be said about sometimes I don't need to grow. I just need to switch my revenue base. And that's where we help people tremendously is being able to say, let's set a goal to get X in organic and lower TPA by X. We can turn off one of the TPAs. We don't have to turn them all off, but which ones can we turn off and be selective and become more profitable as a result?
I think to tag on to that, I think some other, and I don't necessarily want to say they're misconceptions. I I mean, maybe they are. I almost think it's just lack of awareness. And what I mean is so many restorers are new to the industry, right? They're coming in, they've been in it just a few years, maybe 5 years. And so they don't have the value of time on their side to see all of this growth and change across the board between restoration, between insurance, between TPAs. Um, and so when they start a new business, right? When you start a new business, I need clients today, right? And so you are like stressed and highly motivated to get work today. And how do I do that? And so I don't want to say most people haven't thought through the consequences, but often in conversation, I get this impression that many are driven by that concern, that fear. And so they say, well, what's the fastest way to get work today, tomorrow? Sign up for a TPA. They'll send you work consistently, pay for leads, pay for advertising, pay per click. You're going to get stuff every day. Right. And so that then, becomes how the business enters into that. And, without thinking about it, we're getting work. This is great. We're producing. This is great. Okay. We're 500,000 now. Good. Okay. Oh, we're 1 million now. Okay. But again, it's that top line and expense of the bottom. And so just, being aware, I think, is something that I would encourage people. Like I say, maybe not a misconception, but, if you're going to go in to any side of things, whether it's advertising, pay-per-click, TPAs, organic growth, right? You must count the cost, both in the short term and in the long term. And so that's just something else I would add that I think often perhaps we all, and when I say we, I mean any business owner, restorers included, maybe we just don't allocate enough time to really consider not just the immediate, but the long-term effects and implications.
Very helpful. So long-term, deeper relationships with these agents. Again, I'm hearing that, it's not just about the number of leads or connections or the list. It's really, it's not the numbers on the list, it's the depth and effectiveness of that list. For restorers who want to embrace this, but haven't yet, who want to look deeper into this approach of uh, getting work themselves, working with insurance agents in ways they never have before. Is there any advice you'd give in terms of just like the first step or the first thing to consider, or where do they begin? If nothing else, what should they know, kind of thing, to get things moving?
Yeah, fantastic question. I would say number one, look at your numbers. If you don't know how to look at your numbers, we will help you. Just call us. We will help you. It's fine. But a lot of times people, again, you come in at it. You're a technician. You've been in production. You look at a P&L and you're like, I don't know. That's for my accountant, right? So look at your numbers. That's going to be number one and important, because you have to have a form of measurement, right? I mean, you need to know what's accurate and inaccurate for your business and your market. So that's number one. You got to know your starting point where you're at. Then after that, if you're like, no, okay, I'm committed. I want to test this. I want to see if I can get organic growth specifically from insurance agents. Step number one is you have jobs coming in the door now, right? Well, yes, I do. Okay, good. So each of those is a homeowner, and most homeowners today have a mortgage, and it's a requirement from your mortgage company that you have homeowners insurance. So you had to get that from somewhere, right? Probably someone. So every job that's coming through your door is connected to an insurance agent. And so the first step is to find out who is that agent. Because if you don't know who the agent is, that's a hot lead, right? If I know who that agent is, I can pick up the phone and say, Joe, I am on a loss right now for Mrs. Smith. I just want to make you aware and bring you up to speed. Is there anything I can be doing on your behalf while I'm there? I mean, right? But I can't make that call. Right? I can't get an easy in to the agent if I don't even know who the customer's agent is. So that's step one. And that's the advice I would give for sure. Gerry, I know we've talked about that. Is there any other component or element to that you want to add?
It's really critical. If you're, a lot of times people come to us and they're like, I'm ready to hire, help me hire. So we help them hire. And one of the concerns you're going to have is, look, a sales professional, if they're going to be any good at sales, they're competitive. If they're competitive, they want to know the score. If you're going to know the score, it's going to be, the score is how many referrals have I gotten from that agency, right? That's the score that I want to keep track of. And if we as a company don't have the slightest idea who our customer's agent is, then we have a misconception about how the agent's going to refer, because we think, oh, the agent's going to pick up the phone and call us. It doesn't work that way. They're going to use their influence with the customer to say, now listen, you can have anybody you want. I can make a recommendation for two or several companies if you'd like. I give them 3 names, but then they'll say, but if it were me and it were my home, I'd have ABC Restoration. That's who I'd have. Oh, that's who I want. Okay. When you get to the claim department, just tell them you want ABC. Okay. Or pick up the phone and here's their number. You can call ABC, or you can Google ABC, and they'll do it that way. And now you get a customer calling you, or you get it coming from a claim department calling you. And you're thinking, oh, well, gee, it must have came from Google. No, it came from the agent. You've got to know who is that customer's agent and record that and match it up. Otherwise, you're never going to be able to effectively evaluate. So it's a critical component of starting. That's the place to start is, can we measure this?
Well, thank you for your time and insight, Gerry and Jordan. This has been great. Before we go, where can listeners go to connect with you or learn more about your business?
The hardest part is just knowing how to spell my name, but if you've got it, you can do it. It's Gerry with a G, Gerry, Edtl, EDTL.com. put my name together, GerryEdtl.com. You can reach out to us. Cell phones are there, emails are there. You can make an appointment there if you want to, or you can just call.
Listeners and viewers, for more insights on restoration, remediation, and the people behind it all, visit our website, randrmagonline.com, Apple, or Spotify. And if you haven't yet, please be sure to follow the podcast to keep up with our latest episodes and give us a quick review and rating. We're also on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, so we invite you to follow us there too. This has been R&R's Ask the Expert. Thank you for listening, as always.